All right. Take one. Scene one. Welcome back, everyone, to the show Requirements, a Harry Potter podcast streaming everywhere you get podcasts and also on YouTube. I'm your host, David Gonzalez, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Cole Harris and Abby Tooley. How's it going, guys?
Woo, it's going good.
Cole said, eh.
I mean, honesty.
Honesty hour. It's been a long time since we put out an episode. Life has just happened for every single one of us. Spencer has like soccer. Abby, I don't know what you have going on, but I mean, you have a baby, so that's a lot.
Yeah.
And then Cole, you have classes. I have baseball games. So like finding a Monday nowadays is harder and harder to find. But we said we're going to go through the Deathly Hallows, and that is going to be our mission for today, is to start that journey. Normally go chapters 1 and 6, but Spencer's not here, so we're just going to do 1 to 5 since it's story time with David. And so we're gonna just go through these 5 chapters because I think that, like, story wise, these 5 chapters really go well together.
Yeah.
But really quick before we get into the book, Abby and then Cole, talk to me about, before reading this, where you normally have the Deathly Hallows, and also just talk about your first time reading it, that experience, if you remember.
I distinctly remember when I received Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows because my mom worked for Barnes and Noble, and the night it released, they had a Harry Potter like humongous party. And so there were like wand making tables, and there were like, oh wait, am I back? I think I'm back. So there were like wand making tables. There were like games happening, crafts, food. Everyone was in costume. It was a lot of fun. And then at midnight, they released the book, and people were like lined up at the registers, like getting their copies of the book. And I remember my mom and I went home that night and read the first chapter together, and then continued to read it after that. And so it was a blast.
I honestly don't remember reading this one for the first time. I do remember reading Half-Blood Prince, but this one, I don't remember this one. I also already knew how it ended because it had been out for a few years, I think about 10 years at that point. And so, yeah, I more or less already knew. I'd already seen the movie too, so.
Yeah. So that's interesting because, like, for me, I started reading the Deathly Hallows as we got closer and closer to the film being released, because the movie hadn't come out yet, so I didn't know what the story was. And I do remember, like, on our way to go see it, like, I was finishing it up as I was as we were going to the movie. I was reading the final chapters in the book, and so I was definitely like one, like that person that we all hate in the movie theater, who, when Harry like snaps the Elder Wand, I'm just like, that's not how it happens in the book. Like, just like an outrage almost. But yeah, this was the book for me that it goes back and forth with The Prisoner of Azkaban for first place on my list. Like, I love this one, just because I think it's a great conclusion to the series. Right. I think that it ties everything up nice in a bow. It really highlights and just completes the arcs of our main characters. So Harry, Ron, Hermione. It's a big deal for Dumbledore as well, because obviously I'm a Dumbledore stan. I love Dumbledore. He's my favorite character. And even in like chapter 2, like, we get a lot of him, and we get him a lot in throughout the story. And so coming back to this, like I was reading it today, and I was just like, I was reading chapter 2, and I just said, this, like, yes, this is Harry Potter. This is great stuff. I love it. But let's go ahead and let's dive into chapter 1, which is the Dark Lord Ascending. This chapter is,
I want to ascend.
yeah, this chapter
disappointed
is,
none of us ascended today in the
oh yeah, at the time of this recording, the eclipse happened today, and all of us got left behind because we read Harry Potter and we watch Harry Potter and we listen to Harry Potter. We all stayed here.
No.
What a sham. I mean, shame.
What a shame.
What a sham. Sham, wow.
Oh, you're gonna make the old Southern Baptist angry with that with that comment, Cole. Somewhere out there, Kirk Cameron gasps.
Did I ever tell you guys about the time that I got in trouble at church by a really older church member?
No.
Because I was playing Harry Potter Uno in the church lobby with some friends.
Wow.
And she was like, "Are you guys playing cards in the church?"
I mean,
like,
first of all,
just Uno. And then she goes, "And Wizard Uno?"
I mean, gambling of any sort in the church is a no-no.
Yeah, no, it's almost like playing with Wizard Uno cards is the equivalent of like playing on a Ouija board, like at a slumber party. Which I'm definitely our kids are never going to get that, but I do want to be that that uncle or that parent who goes down to the basement to the where the box of switches are and turn on them and turn off the lights and turn the lights back on just to freak kids out. Anyway, so Dark Lord Ascending, chapter 1, we get heavily into Voldemort and his cronies. As we head to Malfoy Manor, there's a lot of cool things that happen into this. Snape is obviously entrenched with Voldemort. He is his right-hand man at this point, has been elevated in status and in power. And he has details about Harry being moved on a specific date. Yaxley is like, no, I heard it from a leak that they're moving him on this date. And Snape's just like, oh, yeah. Wait, say that again, Cole?
I said, why would a potato tell him that? A leak? Never mind. I'm here for the comic relief, guys.
But Yaxley's just like, nope, they're going to be moving him at a different time. Snape's just, nope, I'm smarter than all of you, and I actually know what's happening. And I'm the only competent person sitting at this table.
A competent person here.
Yeah. And so basically the chapter just continues. One of my favorite parts in this chapter has to be how far the Malfoy family has fallen from grace with Voldemort. Lucius has lost, how he's very stoic. He's very, I think the last time we saw him, because do we see him in the Half-Blood Prince at all?
Mm-mm.
I don't believe so.
He's in Azkaban because that's when Draco paralyzes and kicks him on the Hogwarts Express. Is like, that's for putting my father in Azkaban. Yeah.
And so we see Lucius is just a broken, beat down man. Draco's kind of the same way.
Which, can I say, Jason Isaacs plays that fantastically in the movie. He looks
I love the way that he would just Voldemort is just like, I require your wand. And then Jason Isaac very perfect just goes, my lord, just this very high and then Ralph Phineas does a perfect impersonation of him, and it just makes fun of him, and it's such a great scene. but even Bellatrix, like, she's also fallen from grace, not necessarily because of what she's done, but like who her family is because of Tonks and their sister and that whole storyline. But what about you guys? What stood out to you in this chapter?
I think we would be amiss if we didn't talk about suspense, especially because Spencer's not here. The pronunciation of a certain character.
Yes.
Spencer
Yes.
wanted to bring this up, and I do think it's funny that I've never had an issue with it, but it seems like a lot of other people do.
So what's the problem here? Let's explain what the problem is, and then solve it as a committee.
So there's a name of a man, and my understanding is that his name, I think, at least in my brain, is Pious Thickness.
I knew it.
When I've looked it up, that's what it says.
Yeah.
But what did Spencer say? That
It
says it's people think it's thickensy.
Or thickensy. And then there's
Pious thickensy is what I've seen people say.
Yeah, I'm trying to go back and look at his text because I know he's talked to us about
because
this.
It is spelled his first name Pius.
Pious.
And then thickness THICK thick NESS just with an E on the end.
Oh man.
I don't know. But apparently it's an issue across the fandom.
Yeah, so it definitely is Pious Thickness, okay? Jim Dale says thickness. Okay? Mm-hmm. So that's what it is.
Yeah, we'll go with Jim Dale.
Yeah, go to Jim Dale. I mean, you don't think that there is that attention to detail with how they do the audiobooks? Now, I say that, but like I say that. Okay, maybe I'm wrong here. And maybe I just I'm telling on myself. So like in Star Wars, and Abby, you'll get this, but I don't think Cole's not going to get this, and Spencer definitely is not going to get this, and maybe Harry Potter fans are not going to get this. But in Star Wars, in the High Republic era, there is a faction of marauders that are called the Nile, right? Like that's how StarWars.com and their YouTube videos, how they say the Nile is like that. But then
like the river?
Yeah. And then in the audiobooks, whoever reads for Markion Rowe, he says it's the Nihil. So it's like two different ways of saying the Nile.
The Nihil.
And so that's how he says it. So like maybe, but I would think that Harry Potter would be stricter. I feel like J.K. Rowling would be more stricter with how we say the word thickness.
Now, I will say this whole conversation started with the man who says Hagrid. Instead of Hagrid. Happy birthday, Spencer.
Happy birthday, Spencer. That's great, Abby. That's a great callback.
Anyways.
But but for this show, it's thickness.
Yes.
Thickensy just doesn't sound right.
It's not even thickened.
Yeah.
Thickness.
No.
Anyways.
I can't do it. It's not great. It's not good.
No.
But anything else from chapter 1?
Honestly, I feel so badly for this poor Hogwarts professor of Professor Burbage.
Yeah.
Who teaches Muggle studies. She did not deserve her fate.
I felt like even also like the way that the film I like the way that the film did it. I don't know if I liked it better or not. I'm leaning towards that way only because like in this one there's no emotional connection to her. Like we've never really heard of her before, and even with Severus, like the way that the movie did it, if I'm remembering this correctly, is that she says, Severus, we're friends, and then Voldemort kills her.
Mm-hmm.
In this version, you don't get that. In the book, you don't get that. It's just like Severus, help me.
Mm-hmm.
But it also could also be the performance of Alan Rickman in that scene as well. Of like, even even though he's emotionless, there's so much emotion there. Personally, like it's weird. Like you can tell that he's the double agent. You can tell that he cares, which is so weird, especially when we talk about Book Snape and how he's the worst. But
also, this is a little sidestep. My mom's favorite Harry Potter character is Severus Snape, because she's on the boat of like he was redeemed. He is so misunderstood. He really tried. He wasn't nice to Harry, but he made sure he was taken care of. I don't know. And I get that from Alan Rickman's Snape.
Yes, absolutely.
We've talked about this before, but I'm like, but Mom, when you go back and reread the book, he's just a turd.
I definitely felt after reading the Deathly Hallows, like I read it back again specifically for the purposes of like I want to be able to read Severus's redemption, and by the time I got to the end, like when Harry said, "You were named after one of the greatest wizard of all time and one of the bravest men I ever knew," and I'm like, Harry, what are you talking about? Like what are you talking about? Because he still was a little stinker, and I'm hoping this time would maybe change my perspective. But I'm 100% with you. Alan Rickman's Severus Snape
amazing
is amazing, and when you talk about redemption and you talk about he wasn't nice to Harry, but it was to protect him. Like to me, Alan Rickman's portrayal. And we'll probably talk about this once we review the films, because we're going to go back and we're going to rewatch them and talk about them. But when we talk about the films, how it came across to me in Deathly Hallows Part 2 is that's how it came across to me.
Right.
And also because Alan Rickman Severus Snape never said or did the things that Book Snape has said or has done.
I really want to like Snape's character. I think that's the hard part. I want to see the redemption. I want to like him, but it's just not as easy in the books as it is with the movies.
Yeah. But let's go ahead and jump into chapter 2, In Memoriam. This chapter focuses solely on Dumbledore for an entire chapter. We get the passage that is read by, I'm trying to remember the name right here, by Alpheus Dodge, writing Albus Dumbledore Remembered. And I think that this is a great section of the reading. I don't know if this is kind of set up in an expository tone of, hey, let's give you a bunch of information right here and right now. But it really highlights the character of Albus Dumbledore and how he was viewed by the people who were supposedly closest to him.
Right.
But
minus
Cole, yes. But Cole, I'm going to ask you this question, and then Abby, you can also give your take on this as well. But now that the Fantastic Beasts series has come out and we've really dived into Albus's story, how do you think this section how did you read it having those things in mind of you? Because in this section, like Dodge says that when it came to his sister's death, like, you know, he's blameless in this. But
there's no way that Dumbledore is not blameless in the death of Ariana. I feel like that's kind of a no-brainer.
mm-hmm.
I mean, but it really did, the Fantastic Beasts, regardless of your opinion on them, really did do some fleshing out of Dumbledore's character. I mean, we already got a ton of them in books 1 through 6, and then a little bit in 7 is where we kind of get the rest of the story up until that point. But I feel like we did still get a little bit more grounding of the story with the completion of Fantastic Beasts, and so that really helps this section of the book shine, I think.
I think during reading this, I was just further reminded of how little Harry actually knew about Dumbledore. And I know Harry reflects on this.
Yeah, he does.
Because he knows, but he doesn't know to the extent. Like, he doesn't know all about Dumbledore and Grindelwald. There's so much history and so much life that Dumbledore lived that Harry just never knew about. And he just got a little glimpse into Dumbledore's character. And so it really just adds now, like, as I'm reading through this section, I'm thinking of the things that Dumbledore experienced, the hardships with his family, but also with his friendship with Grindelwald and the kind of war that happened.
Right.
Because of Dumbledore.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is, again, I'm always thinking of this now from the perspective of we are supposedly, allegedly, getting a new reboot of the series. And so again, I'm always thinking about, man, how could this be incorporated into the live action, the reboot, in ways that we didn't get this before? I mean, because before we got like a shot of the article, right? We see his Dodge's picture on the Daily Prophet, you know, in this section. But I think that this would be cool. This would be a cool section for, again, this is assuming that they do it the right way and have Jude Law continuing to play Dumbledore for this series, right?
Do we know his what Jude Law's contract looked like?
I can look it up real quick. I don't know if his contract has him going far in this. But what I hope, I would hope that they would decide to bring him back for this.
One would hope, yes.
Because again, this would be a beautiful way to just tie in Fantastic Beasts and the live action series together and to create a universe. I'm all about lore. I'm all about continuity. I'm all about the canon. Let's make things work together. Okay, that's my goal. That's what I want, and I think that they can do that. But I think that having this article being read, like in a voiceover, with just scenes around Harry packing up his stuff, getting things together, would be great. Like, I would love to see it. This, to me, this is a beautiful section of the book itself. Even Rita's, even the Rita interview was great. But Cole, let's talk serious here. Like, Rita Skeeter, she has to be a top top 5, maybe the greatest of all time reporter, don't you think?
I mean, are we just talking like in all of fandom or just Harry Potter? I mean,
I would say just Harry Potter because obviously she can't
compete with Clark Kent
or Lois Lane
I
or
was
Jimmy
gonna say,
Olsen.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's be fair. Yeah, that's true. Lois is better than Clark, anyways. He was too busy trying to save the world.
Save the world. Yeah, he never showed up on time, and he was always taken off.
Yeah,
he was too busy changing the timeline either by a kiss or by flying around the world.
Oh, is this in reference to your Christopher Reeves breakdown of those movies?
Yeah. Ugh.
Everybody go listen to Fandom Done Right.
Yeah.
Yes, listen to Fandom Done Right. I could not. Oh my gosh, I was sitting in the car listening, and I was just like, "That's not true. That's not right." like just debating. Because I mean, okay, I'll be honest. I only love like the first 2. Those are the first. The third one with Richard Pryor. I was like, I'm kind of done with this one already.
Yeah. Did you even make it to the last one?
Honestly, I didn't even know that it was a thing. So I have to go back and watch it and then see. But anyway, yeah, no, I think Rita, I do love her. So her character for me is probably how everybody else feels for Lockhart. And just like I think that Lockhart is a waste of space of a character. I think that if he had never been in the series, nothing would have happened. Nothing would have changed. But I feel like that's how people feel about Rita.
Space? Wait, that's in the next chapter? Never mind. Hashtag deleted scenes.
I love how Abby's just twirling her, I guess, her headphone case.
Yeah. The only reason why I like Lockhart is because Kenneth Branagh plays him in the movies.
Listen, I love him. I love him as well. Okay, I've watched all of like his like Murder on Orient Express, like that series.
Oh,
He's been so good.
Death in Venice was the best one. Not to
is that the second one?
That was a Haunting in Venice.
Or Haunting in Venice.
No,
the
one. First one, Murder on the Orient Express, is the best one.
Oh, I'm trying to remember what the second one was.
Death on the Nile.
Death on the Nile. That one was horrible.
I think I agree with Abby. I think I'm like
the first one.
Murder on the Orient Express because like, and this is
cinematically also just shot fantastically.
Oh, absolutely.
But I like the horror story.
See, and to me that I thought so. If I were to rank them, it would be Murder on the Orient Express, then A Haunting in Venice, and then Death on the Nile. It's because like the haunting in Venice terrified me. It scared, especially the way that it ends.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my gosh, I think I peed. I honestly think I peed. It was so bad. But anyways, yeah. I mean, I love him. I love him like as an actor. I think that he did the role. Like he was perfect casting, perfect everything. But as a character, I didn't really like him. But I think that that's how people might feel about Rita. I don't know. Let us know in the comments if that's true.
I also don't think you're supposed to like
I love
Lockhart. He's just kind of like terrible, but also kind of goofy.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, Rita's also just kind of terrible, but also just ridiculous. They're both just ridiculous characters.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not supposed to like them.
I mean, this entire series is kind of based on ridiculous characters.
That's true. Luna Lovegood.
Xenophilius Lovegood.
Yes, right? Exactly.
Yep.
Did
I say his name? I'll look it up later.
I call him Poppy Lovegood. Poppy Lovegood. But chapter 3, the Dursleys departing.
Okay.
Abby, do you have thoughts? Sounds like you got thoughts.
Well, it's mainly just like this chapter, I think, just kind of feels a little bit like the end of an era. I think this is the chapter where you start to feel like Harry is no longer a child. I mean, you feel that at other parts too, but like he's no longer going to be living with his aunt and uncle. Like this is him saying goodbye. Will he ever see them again? Probably not.
Right.
And so it's like, I don't know. I was reading this chapter and I was like, man, like this is really happening. Like everything's changing. Like this is the moment. And then also just the wonderful moment you get with Dudley telling Harry that he doesn't think he's a waste of space.
I don't think you're a waste of space, Harry.
Which is very sweet. And there's a little bit of comedic relief too. I think they gave us 2 kind of heavier chapters, and this one had a little bit of some like goofy in it, to just kind of lighten it a bit, but also still furthering the story in, I think, a nice way.
Yeah, I think one of the moments where Savage Harry came back into play is when Uncle Vernon is just like, you want this house, you want us out of here so you can like use your magic to change the deed into your name. And Harry says very smartly, he says, just in case you've forgotten, I've already got a house. My grandfather left me one. So why would I want this one? All the happy memories.
Right.
And then there was silence. Harry thought that he had rather impressed his uncle with this argument. Because it's true. It's an end of an era, but an era nonetheless that was full of just
Did you say his grandfather?
Did I say
you did. It's Godfather.
Godfather.
We know what you, I know what you meant.
Yeah.
I thought Sirius left him the house, not his grandfather. That's never mentioned.
Yeah. Which, okay, I've always wondered that. Where, like, did his... Like,
yeah, where's his grandparents during this whole thing?
Because, like, if James and Lily were, like, what, in their teens, maybe, still? Were they in their teens or, like, early 20s, at the very
20s.
least? So if they're still in their early 20s, their parents surely they're not dead.
I mean, unless they were killed in the first Wizarding War.
They might have been, which, I don't know if Spencer had that in his... Marauder series, but you know, when we redo them, maybe that could be an added
because deal. Sirius spent the summers with the Potters.
Yeah,
and this one and this wouldn't have been too far off.
Right. Huh. But that's an interesting thing.
So what happened to Harry Potter's parents or grandparents? According to J.K. Rowling, all of Harry's grandparents on both sides were dead by the time he was born.
Well, isn't that convenient?
Wow. So this says, while many Harry Potter fans are realizing his parents, Lily and James, were only 18 years old when they got married, and they had Harry when they were 20. Voldemort came into the picture, wreaking havoc and attempting to kill infant-aged Harry not too long after. This means Harry's parents were 21 years old at the time they were killed. That's so young.
That's what I'm saying. They're so wouldn't their parents also be like at least in their 40s?
Yeah, this means Harry's parents were 21 years old at the time they were killed. Since Lily was such a young mom, her parents likely weren't too old either. It's safe to assume they were 20 to 30 years older than her, which means they were in the age range of their 40s or 50s. Now, so I guess, it may also depend on if, like, you know, like older siblings, or they might have just been older parents. You know, that age could vary.
I can't remind me. Was it just Petunia that resented Lily, or was it the entire family? And could they have just like disowned?
I think because remember in that scene where Petunia in the first film or in the first book and film, to where she said, "My parents were so proud when she got her letter.
Right. Okay.
We have a witch in the family. Isn't that wonderful?" I was the only one who saw her for what she was, a freak. So yeah, I think this is just some interesting work. So obviously when we buy the company, and we own the rights. That needs to be addressed. We need to address that for the fans. Even if it has to be something tragic.
Together.
Oh, did you find something? Oh,
this says Euphemia and Fleamont Potter both died of dragon pox within days of each other before they got to meet their eventual grandson.
I slightly remember that now that you mention it.
And it says that Lily's parents died shortly after Lily's marriage. Doesn't really say why, but it does say that James's parents died. That was J.K. Rowling on Pottermore, died of dragon pox.
That is tragic.
I don't know why I never really thought about his grandparents, but I didn't.
Yeah, so. I don't know. I guess it had to make sense for him to be with his aunt and uncle. It's sad. Really sad.
It says Rowling says Lily's parents died a normal muggle death. So maybe a normal muggle death. Maybe that just
car accident. What are we talking about?
Yeah.
I don't know. See, that would have been a very good plot thing. Is Harry, Petunia telling Harry, well, your parents died in the same car crash that my parents died in.
Yeah. Could be. We're making moves here. Making moves, making a way. But yeah,
surely they would have wanted you.
Yeah. Could you imagine? But let's talk about Dudley real quick. The deleted scene in the film was, I think I've said this before on the podcast, so awkward, so uncomfortable of a scene to watch. I enjoyed this a whole lot more because Dudley is seen to be more appreciative of Harry. Even like earlier in this chapter, like there is a teacup that's left like in front of his door, I think is what they said. And it, Harry originally thought that it was a prank, a dumb prank by Dudley. But we learn after this really good interaction between the two of them of just like, I don't think you're a waste of space. You saved my life. Like, he was trying to be nice to Harry.
Yeah.
And just hilarious that Petunia praised him instead of like
sobs about how kind Dudley's being to his cousin. Wild.
But yeah, I thought that this was done extremely well. I really loved how the book did it.
Yeah.
Did not really like how the film did it. So in this one, I'll say book is better in my opinion. But the way that this chapter ends is Aunt Petunia. She says, well, goodbye. Goodbye, said Harry. She stopped and looked back. And for a moment, Harry had the strangest feeling that she wanted to say something to him, but gave him an odd, tumultuous look and seemed to teeter on the edge of her speech. But then, with a jerk of her head, she bustled out of the room after her husband and son. So I'm wondering, just conspiracy theory here with me, what do you think that she would have said? Do you think that what we got in the film is what was being considered here?
Possibly.
Maybe.
Like, I don't know how I feel about for Dudley to kind of change. It makes sense, because Harry did save his life and this and that. I love how Uncle Vernon didn't change ground. But I'm wondering if for Petunia, this is like the first. This is just like, this is my sister's son.
Yeah.
Who's not a little boy anymore, but obviously he's in danger, just like my sister was in danger. And the threat that had killed my sister is back. So like, this is a great moment for me. I love it. I'm glad that we didn't get that like conversation, because I think it holds true to her character as well.
Yeah.
Of not saying something. But chapter 4, the 7 Potters. This is where stuff gets good for me.
This is where the fun begins.
Exactly, this is where the fun begins. So this is obviously the chapter of Harry being moved out of Privet Drive and into the Burrow, with a couple of extra details and things added into this. So they're having to travel to different places, which has port keys that eventually gets to the Burrow, and they're all given specific places to go. My big thing in this chapter that I don't think we talk about enough, and I think it's actually a criticism. I don't know whose decision it was for this to happen, but Mundungus Fletcher really screws everything up.
Yeah,
in my opinion. Like, this is a chapter to where he really, for lack of a better term, pisses me off. Like,
he really screws the pooch here
because he doesn't even want to be there. He doesn't.
I don't remember. Why did they decide to bring him along in the first place? Because obviously he's not a trustworthy person.
Right.
I would not have chosen him to do this.
I thought that was all on Mad Eye.
That's what I thought. Like, and he said, like, I'm here to keep an eye on you. But I was like, so I'm wondering if there was fear because of maybe a situation previously, to where Mundungus almost let out some information. While, I mean, because we know that he's a scum rat. He's trying to...
let's just call him as he is. He's an idiot.
Sure. Right. Yeah. Yeah, he is. That's his character. And so
a bumbling
Mad Eye just said, you know what? I can't trust you. So I'm going to be watching you 24/7. We got to move Harry. You're going to come and you're going to be a part of this. And you're going to be with me.
Like it.
Yeah. And I think maybe that's what happened here.
Well,
but
you never know for certain.
Things get insane.
Yeah. Like, it sounds like literally they all fly up. Like, they all turn into Harry. They all fly up into the sky. And as soon as they burst through the clouds, there's like a ring of Death Eaters just waiting for them.
Yeah.
I would be terrified. I would have peed. That's my pee moment, David. No.
That's getting clipped. That's getting clipped for sure.
Never do it. But I feel like this would be a great opening to the series. And it flashes to an older Harry. And it's like, record stop. I bet you're wondering how I got in this situation. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Wouldn't happen. Would be great if it did.
Yeah.
Also, Hedwig died so fast. Oh. I didn't remember it being that fast in the book.
I didn't either.
Like, literally the page, literally the same page that they took off into the sky, Hedwig died.
I think I'm really bad about like reading ahead, and I'm pretty sure I read that like before I finished the rest of the page, and I went, wait, what? Yep. Hedwig died?
Yeah, literally, I imagine it's like you get thrown into the sky, there's Death Eaters everywhere, and then it's just fireworks, like trying to dodge, fireworks. Except they can kill you. I guess fireworks can kill you too, but you know what I mean.
Bet the wizards that had to go erase those Muggle memories had a great time.
And then Harry using Expelliarmus on Stan
Shunpike.
Who was under the Curious Curse, I think.
Yes. Well, so that's what's said. That's what Harry says. He believes that. We'll get to that scene in the next one because Lupin and Harry have a little bit of a back and forth between that, and I thought it was really good.
Voldemort flies. We learned that. In this
That's
one.
super cool. Super cool.
Like good.
As one does.
Cool.
Yep, as one does. So is this the case that Voldemort's actually the greatest baddie?
That's
like
P
even
moment
greater?
number 2, Voldemort flying.
But because I don't think Grindelwald ever flew, did he? That was a great concert F. That was a great concert F. But I don't think he ever flies. I'm still of the opinion that like Prime Grindelwald destroys Prime Voldemort.
Oh, I forgot. I forgot the Battle of the Baddies.
Yeah, the Battle of the Baddies.
We said Prime Grindelwald beats Prime Voldemort, or Prime Voldemort beats Prime Grindelwald.
Personally, I think Prime Grindelwald beats Prime Voldemort, and my reasoning for that is because like Dumbledore was the only wizard that Voldemort feared, and Grindelwald was considered to be Dumbledore's equal.
Right.
And Grindelwald wasn't afraid of Dumbledore. I shouldn't say that. I think there was respect there.
Right.
But he wasn't scared of Dumbledore.
I might be.
Yeah, Cole is. As one should be. But that's my reasoning for why I think Grindelwald is a greater wizard than Voldemort.
Yeah. Did we agree that Prime Voldemort is during the first Wizarding War?
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. It's hard because I just don't know what that Voldemort was like.
I think
allegedly.
Allegedly, he had a nose.
Mm-hmm.
And like a nose for a wizard is like thumbs for humans.
Hey Siri, when did Voldemort lose his nose?
Experimenting more with the dark arts drastically distorted his appearance throughout the years.
You're not helpful.
This is from wegoutdiscovered.com.
I don't care.
I mean, Siri knows her Wizarding World stuff.
Siri needs to appear more on the show
on the podcast. Why have we not been asking Siri questions this whole time?
Yeah. Hey Siri,
ask her who would win, Voldemort or Grindelwald.
Yeah.
We should put that into ChatGPT or something.
Wait a second.
We should.
Would it really do the research? Would it do that?
I'm gonna put it into ChatGPT right now.
Okay, do that, and by the time we finish this episode,
let us know.
Yeah,
because I want to know
when we wrap it up, because we want to know. So anyway, Voldemort flies in the air, has an opportunity to kill Harry, and again, he got a different wand for a reason, and because his wand and Harry's wand shared the same core, so he has a different wand. Elm, I believe, and Dragon Heartstring. That's Lucius's wand.
It is Elm. Yes.
Elm and then Dragon Heartstring, I do believe. And there's a moment. There is a moment there that they have.
What did they call it?
Are we going back to the fan fiction episode?
Uh-oh.
Of what? Of what?
I thought we did a fan fiction episode.
Of what?
Of Harry Potter?
Yeah, but like what specifically? Because we've done it on a couple of occasions.
Oh, I thought you said that Lucius and Harry had a moment.
No.
No.
No, that's some sick fan fiction that I don't want to be a part of.
Listen, it's probably out there.
It probably, it
I wouldn't
is.
doubt it.
Listen, I'm still mad at Spencer for like making Draco and Hermione a thing in his right, and because we were talking about it today, and he said, "Oh yeah, I think I have an idea for Hermione Granger and the Cursed Child," and I said, "Great, I will reprise all of my roles on one condition: you take out Draco and Hermione's romance."
The Hermione.
Jemima.
I don't acknowledge that as a thing. I don't. But I mean, there is a cool moment. He felt his hand, or he felt it, the wand, drag his hand around like some great magnet.
What did they call it whenever their wands connect? There's a phrase for it, isn't there?
Prior incantatum?
I was close. Yeah.
I think that's what it is.
No, that's what it is.
Okay.
What is it, you guys? My screen froze.
Oh, I said prior incantatum.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. So the way that this is saying the same thing didn't happen here. Right? This was a different thing that occurred.
I don't know. I was still confused about it. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. So this is Harry Potter. I'm sorry. This show with me is like a little bit off the rails because we go on to like sidetracks and stuff. But I just looked down at this paper, and all it says is this. It says, Voldemort screamed, "No!" Somehow Harry found his nose.
I got your nose.
I got your nose. Yeah.
Look out! He's got a nose.
He's got a nose.
Harry's just running around like.
He's like,
Oh,
checkmate.
I've got the Dark Lord's nose.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. But anyway, so just I thought
What
it
if
was
that
funny.
means he like stuck his fingers in Voldemort's nose holes? Like, get off me, guy!
Cole, how do you get people's noses? Do you go into their nostrils?
I mean,
No, Cole.
he doesn't have
Just-
a nose. That's the thing. He just goes in his nose holes.
What? No, I've never ever in my entire life of taking somebody's nose, put my fingers into their nostrils to grab it.
Hey! You got to do what you got to do in a
Okay,
fight.
so chapter 5,
No.
Fallen Warrior.
Yeah. Yep, Fallen Warrior.
This chapter was really sad.
This chapter is chaos.
It really is.
It absolutely is chaos.
It crashed, Ted. Crashed in the garden.
Yeah,
Poor Hagrid had a rough go of it during that whole fight.
he really did.
Hagrid.
Hagrid?
No. Hagrid.
Hagrid. Yeah.
Happy birthday, Spencer.
Happy birthday, Spencer. I think that what was very interesting for me was this part. It says this. Harry broke off. He had just noticed the woman who had entered the room behind Hagrid. "You!" he shouted, and he thrust his hand into his pocket, but it was empty. He says, "Your wand's here, son," said Ted, tapping it on Harry's arm. "It felt right between you. I picked it up, and that's my wife that you're shouting at." So this is Ted's wife, Andromeda, right?
Yes.
I think so.
Yes. And she looks a lot like Bellatrix.
Yeah.
Because they're sisters.
Which, oh man, again, imagine if we got this in live action of how intense this moment would be.
Oh yeah.
Of like you're essentially seeing like two different sides of Bellatrix. Like if there's like a similarity, there's like a semblance there in how they look, but Her hair was a light, soft brown, and her eyes were wider and kinder. Like that's got to be a trippy deal.
It's like seeing Helena Bonham Carter play Bellatrix and seeing her play the fairy godmother in Cinderella. Like two very different things.
Gross. We don't talk about it.
Not to say that Andromeda's anything like a fairy godmother. Those are both also very different characters. But I was just saying.
Yeah.
Same person, but very different people.
Yeah. I thought that this is I think this section here with Molly, Harry's explaining the situation. She said, we were surrounded the moment that we took off and they knew it was tonight. I don't know what happened to anyone else. 4 of them chased us. It was all we could do to get away. And then Voldemort caught up to us. He could hear the self-justifying note in his voice, the plea for her son to understand why he didn't know what had happened to her sons. But thank goodness you're all right, she said, pulling him into a hug he didn't feel he deserved. So again, like in the next section of reading, I think we're gonna have another moment to where we have Molly Weasley being suffocating for the trio. But for this section and this section alone, this is again another moment that we see that Molly is essential to Harry's development as a character.
Well, she's like a mom to him.
Yes.
He loves him.
Yes. And so, man, like these small little moments that I maybe people don't appreciate these, but these are the moments in Harry Potter that I enjoy the most, because Harry's receiving something that he normally doesn't receive over the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great thing. So I enjoy it. I feel like I had to highlight that just because I love it. It's one of my favorite things to do.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, let's get into Lupin and Harry. Yeah. So they have a little bit of back and forth because they said, Lupin says, how did they recognize you? And Harry says, I tried to disarm him and I don't know what he was doing. He must be under the Imperious Curse. And Lupin says something very interesting in response. He said, Harry, the time for disarming has passed. These people are trying to capture and kill you. At least stun if you aren't prepared to kill.
I wish we'd gotten that in the movie, because hearing that would have been like a fan favorite scene, I think, to hear David Thewlis say that.
I agree.
But it's also one of those moments to where we're no longer reading the Sorcerer's Stone anymore.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
Like things have gotten really real for Harry and for them all in this moment. And so I really loved this back and forth, because he's like, Harry says, are you saying that I should have killed him? And he said, of course not. But the Death Eaters, frankly, most people would have expected you to attack back. Expelliarmus is a useful spell, Harry, but the Death Eaters seem to think it is your signature move, and I urge you not to let it become so. And then Harry responds and says, I won't blast people out of my way just because they're there. That's Voldemort's job. So my question to you guys, who do you agree with? Do you agree with Harry or do you agree with Lupin?
I agree with Harry.
Yeah,
I mean, ultimately, Harry is not trying to.
Harry
doesn't want to stoop to Voldemort's level.
right.
He thinks that there's a better way, and he wants to take that better way. I think that Lupin I don't know if he's necessarily wrong, but I feel like I don't know. He doesn't want to see the people he loves get hurt, and I think he thinks that makes Harry vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it makes Harry very courageous.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I agree with both of you. I think that usually when war happens, and this is actually coming from somebody who's never experienced war in my life, so you can discard my opinion if you're listening out there. But like war is usually something that changes a person. It changes people. And Harry is committed in this moment to not be changed by it.
Mm.
And to me, that's a powerful statement. That's a powerful stance to take also of, hey, it's killed or be killed. And Harry's just like, I rather not kill, and I'm not gonna kill. They can do that. I'm not.
It's kind of this is a biblical reference, but kind of the Esther's like, if I perish, I perish. Like,
yeah,
I'm going to go do this thing that I know is going to save a lot of people. And if I die in the process, I die, but I'm not going to do
that's a good
what people think I should.
Yeah, that's a good reference there. But as we move on here, George loses an ear.
Snape's handiwork.
Yeah. How do you feel, Georgie?
Oh, holy.
So he said saint-like. Just love them being able to joke in this moment still.
Hilarious.
But just a lot of things happen in this, because George loses an ear and then Moody dies.
Yeah.
And just a weird moment too, that Hagrid was accused by Fleur of being the leak.
Yeah.
Which I kind of understand.
I was actually listening to a different a podcast this today while I was driving, and it was about Harry Potter, just kind of going through Rowling's process and just where she got all the inspirations from. And honestly, I mean, Hagrid's name roots from just being too drunk. And I mean, we see that in what is time and time again in this series, that Hagrid does stupid stuff when he's drinking.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibilities.
Right.
It's wartime. You're gonna get drunk. Just to forget about the war for a bit. And so it makes sense to me that Hagrid may have been the leak.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I get that. But I think the way this chapter ends is so good because Harry obviously feels the guilt of all of this stuff happening. This is all my fault.
Which is all because of me.
And so he tries to leave, and Molly and Hermione and Ron talk him out of it, and everyone tries to talk him out of it and be like, hey, if you take off and you leave and something happens to you, all of this happened for nothing. Like, we did this to protect you.
It's kind of a Peter Parker moment of you have to take responsibility.
Yeah. But I also think this is kind of like, you remember in that scene in The Prisoner of Azkaban where Lupin is talking about Harry, he's roaming the halls at night when he's not supposed to be, while Sirius Black is on the loose. And he said, your mother and father gave their lives to protect you. And I think that this is a pretty poor way to repay them. Like kind of that same attitude with Harry. Be like, George lost an ear, Moody died. Like all this has happened. For you to leave is not a smart decision. You may think that it is, but it's not.
But what does he do? Please tell me, what does he do in a few chapters? He leaves.
It's true.
They go out in the woods.
Yeah.
Sorry, preview for a couple.
Preview for a couple weeks. But
in the next episode of
the show requirement. But yeah, I mean that's chapters 1 through 5. Cole, do you have the results of Voldemort v. Grindelwald?
Yeah, stupid.
Oh no.
Okay, what is it?
ChatGPT, it's not helpful in the terms.
Okay.
It's stupid. That's a tough one. Both Voldemort and Grindelwald are powerful wizards in their own right. Voldemort is known for his cunning and mastery of dark magic, while Grindelwald is highly skilled and ambitious. Ultimately, it could depend on various factors, such as their strategies, environments, and any allies they may have.
So it's a cop-out.
Yeah.
It's a cop-out.
ChatGPT failed us.
Yeah, it failed us. But hey, for
Let
our
us know.
listeners out there, let us know who you think wins. Honestly, this could be a very good debate for our show. This could actually be a topical episode that we do at one point. Team Voldemort versus Team Grindelwald. So if you'd like to see that episode, make sure to comment below. Listen, I'm taking Grindelwald all day long, all day. And I'm undefeated in fair or not debates. Okay, I've never lost in my life, so I feel pretty good.
We haven't done one of those in a while.
We haven't done one of those in a while. We need to, but that's going to do it for us here on the Show of Requirement, a Harry Potter podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. If you are watching on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment on your thoughts on this first section of the reading. Give us your thoughts on Grindelwald versus Voldemort. But if you are listening to the podcast, make sure to subscribe where it says to. Make sure to leave us a review so we can get Washington Sentinel off our backs and get that taste out of our mouths. Okay, we need them out of our mouths.
Wait, what happened? Tell me off air. Never mind.
Yeah, I'll tell you off air. But subscribe to the channel as that helps us reach more Harry Potter fans. And if you want more content from us, if you want to be updated on the episodes that are coming out, make sure to follow our Instagram page at hpotter_fanatics on Instagram. But for Abby and Cole, this is David for the show. And until next time, mischief managed.